Fighting games are easy to pick up, but brutal to master. It's one thing to mash buttons with your friends on a Friday night, it's another to step into the competitive scene and realize half the cast has 100 move lists. Combos require one-frame precision, and the only thing standing between you and a KO is your ability to parry 15 hits in a row. So today, we're counting down the top 15 toughest fighting games ever made. Some are classics that broke arcade sticks in the 90s, others are modern titles still frying new players in 2025, but all of them demand patience, dedication, and nerves of steel. Let's start at number 15. Easy to learn, impossible to master. Dead or Alive has always been deceptive. You can sit down, mash out a few combos, throw someone into a wall, and feel like a god. But once you peel back the layers, DOA 6 reveals its fangs. The game revolves around its hold system, a universal counter mechanic that lets you break an opponent's attack with a perfectly timed input. Sounds simple, right? Except you have to pick between 4 different hold types: high, mid-punch, mid-kick, or low. And you've got only a tiny frame window to land it. Get it wrong, and you don't just fail the counter, you whiff, and the opponent slams you with a full punish, sometimes taking 50% of your life bar. What makes DOA 6 brutally hard is that the entire meta revolves around this gamble. Veterans can read animations and counter in real time, while newcomers just guess and get annihilated. Even worse, overusing holds gets you blown up by throw punishes, meaning the game actively punishes bad defense. The skill ceiling comes from the Yomi prediction game. Do you hold? Do you block? Do you risk a counter throw? The best players turn this into a mental chess match, but at tournament speed, it feels like Russian roulette with your health bar. As one longtime player put it, the hard-to-master part is the hold system. You should only hold when you absolutely know what your opponent will do. That's the difference between casual fun and high-level DOA. Precision instincts, razor timing, and nerves of steel. Execution hell inside a 50-50 carnival. Mortal Kombat X is notorious in the FGC for 2 reasons: its relentless mix-ups and its execution-heavy combos. MKX introduced the run mechanic, which transformed the pace of the game. Instead of the slower, methodical MK9, MKX became a lightning-fast, pressure-heavy nightmare. But that speed came at a price. To optimize damage, players had to master run-cancel combos. Here's how it works. In the middle of a string, you cancel into a run, stop within a 2-3 frame window, and immediately continue the combo. Characters like Scorpion, Cassie Cage, and Devora had bread-and-butter loops that required multiple run cancels back-to-back just to reach competitive damage. Jackie Briggs, infamously, had combos so demanding that even pro players admitted, "We didn't really see anyone do them consistently in tournament." Execution aside, MKX piles on constant mental pressure. Many characters thrive on 50-50 mix-ups, quick overheads or lows that look identical until the last possible moment. Guess wrong, and you eat a full run-cancel combo. Guess right, but fail to punish optimally, you fall behind anyway. The result is a game where both your execution and reactions are stress-tested non-stop. Surviving in MKX meant not only blocking like a psychic, but also performing tournament-level combos under insane pressure. That's why many veterans still call MKX one of the hardest games NRS has ever produced. One-frame links. Welcome to Execution Bootcamp. Street Fighter IV is the game that brought fighting games back into the mainstream, but it also became infamous as an execution gauntlet. The core culprit? One-frame link combos. That's 1/60th of a second to hit your next input. Miss it by a fraction, and the combo drops. This wasn't some fringe gimmick. Entire bread-and-butter strings relied on one-frame links. Competitive players invented plinking, priority linking, a technique where you press 2 buttons a frame apart to increase your odds of landing the input. Without plinking, many characters like Ryu, Ken, or Balrog felt almost unplayable at high level. Then came Sea Viper, the poster child for execution monsters. Her seismic hammer feints, burn kick cancels, and FADC extensions pushed even pros to their limit. El Fuerte had infinite run-stop pressure that required rapid precision. Even simpler characters demanded focus attack dash cancels, canceling a move into a focus attack, then dash canceling into another move, all within a split second. For casuals, Street Fighter IV was a wake-up call. Basic combos that looked easy on screen required hours in training mode. For pros, it became a badge of honor. Could you land one-frame links on stage, under the lights, with a crowd screaming? It's no wonder Street Fighter V and VI loosened timing windows. Capcom knew SF4's barrier to entry was brutal, but for many, that's what made it legendary. If you mastered SF4, you survived one of the hardest execution tests in fighting game history. Looks like an anime spectacle, plays like execution warfare. Dragon Ball FighterZ exploded onto the scene with its gorgeous visuals and easy auto combos. But once you step into competitive play, it reveals its true identity, a Marvel-style execution grinder. The game is 3v3 tag-based, which means you're not just learning one character, you're juggling three, plus how their assists synergize. Optimal play revolves around assist extensions, vanish cancels, sparking loops, and touch of death combos that can delete a character from full health. Pulling these off isn't just about knowing the inputs, it's about chaining multiple assists with frame-perfect precision, while tracking combo decay and spacing. Defense is no easier. DBZF is notorious for layered mix-ups, instant air dash high-low pressure, cross-ups with assists, dragon rush grabs, all coming at you in milliseconds. The game's speed makes pure reactions nearly impossible. You're forced to predict and preemptively block, and even then, you might get opened up by a sneaky reset. Tournament footage often shows a single mistake snowballing into the loss of a whole character. That's why veterans call DBZF easy to pick up, hell to master. Beneath the flash and accessibility is a lab-heavy, execution-focused monster that punishes every drop and rewards only the most precise. A tug-of-war system that punishes your brain as much as your hands. Under Night in Birth looks like your standard anime fighter, until you hit your first wall. At its core lies the GRD grid system, a unique tug-of-war mechanic where both players battle for grid control throughout the round. Winning the cycle gives you Vorpal state, powering up your offense and unlocking chain shift cancels. Losing it, you hand your opponent an advantage. This creates constant mental pressure. You're not only executing combos and blocking mix-ups, you're also managing the grid timer and adjusting your playstyle to win it. One mistake in the tug-of-war, and suddenly your opponent gets free momentum and cancels you can't match. Execution-wise, UNCLR demands long chain combos, tricky cancels, and air dash pressure sequences that test reactions. Some characters like Wagner or Seth layer in teleports, cross-ups, and frame traps that melt beginners. On defense, you must be razor sharp. Instant blocking and fuzzy guarding are mandatory skills at high level. As one longtime player admitted, every time I think I've got it, I go online and get destroyed. For 6 years straight. That's UNCLR in a nutshell. A game that looks manageable until you realize it's testing your mind, your execution, and your resource management simultaneously. The anime fighter that throws everything at you. If one fighting game could be described as hard mode on steroids, it's BlazBlue Central Fiction. This isn't just execution heavy, it's mechanics overload. Every character has a unique drive ability, essentially a mini mechanic on top of the universal systems. Carl Clover plays with a puppet you control separately. Arakun builds a curse gauge that unlocks swarms of bugs. Hazama fights with chain mobility that turns neutral into a nightmare. That means to compete, you're not just learning BlazBlue, you're learning 35 different subgames. On top of that, Central Fiction packs in barrier blocking, rapid cancels, crush triggers, overdrive mode, astral heats, and more. Managing all of these in real time is mentally draining, especially in high-speed matches where aerial combat dominates. Combos are long, timing sensitive, and often character-specific. You drop one input, the whole sequence falls apart. The game's matchup knowledge tax is brutal. With such a large cast and so many unique systems, knowing how to defend against each opponent is a mountain of homework. Miss a matchup-specific trick like Arakun's curse pressure or Relias's puppet traps, and you're toasted. BlazBlue's Central Fiction is a love letter to anime fighters, but it's also their ultimate exam. It doesn't just test your hands, it tests your memory, your reactions, and your ability to juggle 20 mechanics at once. Old school, no mercy. Super Turbo is a relic of the arcade era, and it shows in its unforgiving design. Unlike modern games that give you input buffers and leniency, ST gives you nothing. Want to do a reversal dragon punch on Wake Up? You've got a one-frame window. Miss it, and you eat a meaty combo. Combos themselves are full of one-frame links like Ryu's jab into Super or Guile's infamous jab into Sonic Boom. That's 1/60th of a second precision, every time. On top of that, damage is brutal. A single touch can lead to dizzy combos that delete 70% of your life. There are no comeback mechanics, no safety nets. Every mistake is punished by death. Even the AI is merciless, reading inputs instantly, making casual players feel like they're fighting a psychic. And it's not just execution, it's mental discipline. Every poke, every fireball, every jump in matters, because one bad read can end the round. Pro players still call ST a fundamentals boot camp because it strips fighting games to their rawest form, tight execution and perfect decision-making under pressure. Parries turn fighting into high-speed chess. Third Strike is remembered for one mechanic, parrying. Tap forward at the exact frame a hit connects and you nullify it completely. Sounds simple, until you try to do it in practice. The timing window is only a few frames, and if you miss, you don't just block late, you get punished. The most famous example is Daigo's Evo moment number 37, where he parried all 15 hits of Chun-Li's super frame perfect, then tuntered for the win. That wasn't just a highlight reel. That's Third Strike's reality at the highest level. On top of parries, you've got character-specific execution monsters. Yoon's Genie Jin combos, Urian's charge partitioned Aegis reflector setups, Oro's chicken loop, all require lab hours that scare away casuals. Even simple characters like Chun-Li demand flawless spacing and timing. What makes Third Strike brutally hard is that parries warp the entire neutral game. You can't just throw out safe pokes because they can be parried and punished. Every button press is a gamble. You're constantly layering mind games. Will they parry high, parry low, or wait and throw? Third Strike doesn't just test your hands. It tests your ability to think under fire, to gamble with precision, and to clutch with execution when the crowd is screaming. An indie fighter with Marvel-level chaos. Don't let the cartoon art style fool you. Skullgirls is one of the most technical tag fighters ever made. The combo system is freeform. You're not locked into rigid strings. You can improvise, extend, and reset almost endlessly. The only limiter is the infinite prevention system, which forces you to vary your routes. That means competitive play is all about lab-heavy, optimized combos that often run 30+ seconds long and require pinpoint timing. Then there are resets. In Skullgirls, dropping a combo on purpose to restart damage scaling is a key strategy. Top players weave high-low throw resets into long combos so seamlessly that defending against them feels impossible. As one player put it, against good Skullgirls players, you basically get one touch because they just keep resetting you. Defensively, you're dealing with assist pressure, layered mix-ups, and characters that hit from multiple directions at once. Without perfect knowledge of the roster, you'll get opened up again and again. And the kicker? You need to learn multiple characters and team synergy. Skullgirls isn't just about one fighter. It's about knowing how 3 characters interact and how to exploit every assist. It's Marvel vs. Capcom DNA distilled into a tighter, faster, nastier form. For those who dive deep, Skullgirls is incredibly rewarding. But for everyone else, it's a wall of execution and pressure that feels almost insurmountable. 3 characters and infinite chaos. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a beast that looks like pure fun on the surface. Spider-Man swinging in, Wolverine slashing, and Iron Man blasting beams. But once you step into competitive play, it becomes a whirlwind of execution, knowledge checks, and sensory overload. Execution first. This game is infamous for techniques like the ROM Infinite with Magneto, a repeated super jump air dash juggle that requires lightning-fast inputs and perfect rhythm. Sentinel mains had to master fast fly, unfly cancels, performed in tiny frame windows to extend combos and pressure. Iron Man's Infinite required precision timing for every rep. These weren't just flashy. If you couldn't do them, you simply weren't competing. Then there's the defense. MVC2 is notorious for guard breaks and unblockables. If you didn't know how to push block guard cancel, you could literally get locked into a block string until your entire life bar melted. Newcomers often felt like they weren't even playing the game, just watching their characters get erased. And the knowledge tax? Immense. The game has 56 characters, and while only a dozen dominate the meta, you still need to know every assist interaction, team synergy, and DHC trick to survive. Competitive Marvel 2 is like high-speed calculus. One mistake, and you're eating a 100% combo. That's why MVC2 has a reputation as both beloved and brutal. A chaotic masterpiece where the only way to thrive is through sheer dedication and mechanical mastery. We're not even in the top 5 yet, and the execution barriers are already insane. If you're enjoying this breakdown of the hardest fighters ever made, now's the time. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the countdown. And tell me in the comments, what's the one fighter you quit because it was just too hard? I guarantee someone else in here has the same story. A party game turned technical gauntlet. On the GameCube, Melee was marketed as a fun party brawler, but the competitive community unlocked its hidden depth, and now it stands as one of the most mechanically demanding fighting games of all time. Melee runs at 60 FPS with no input buffer. That means everything, every jump, every aerial, every shield drop must be entered on the exact frame. At high level, the game turns into a blizzard of inputs per minute, often exceeding professional RTS players in raw speed. Advanced tech like wave dashing, L canceling, short hop, fast fall aerials, dash dancing, and shield drops all became mandatory. None of these were explained in-game. They were community discoveries that became part of the competitive language. Miss a wave dash or fail to L cancel, and you hand your opponent a free punish. The execution barrier is so extreme that players often suffer hand injuries from years of grinding. And the mental load is just as high. Every combo is influenced by the opponent's DI, directional influence, meaning you must adjust on the fly, in real time, for every single hit. That's why even 20+ years later, new techniques are still being discovered. The skill ceiling isn't just high, it's limitless. Melee isn't just a fighting game anymore. It's a proving ground where the fastest, most creative, and most disciplined thrive. The encyclopedia fighter. Tekken has always had a reputation as one of the hardest franchises, and Tekken 7 is its modern pinnacle. The difficulty starts with the move lists. Every character has 80 to 100 unique moves. To play Tekken seriously, you don't just learn your character, you memorize everyone's strings, frame data, and punish options. Movement is another wall. Korean backdash canceling, a technique where you chain backdashes with crouch cancels, is the gold standard. It looks effortless on stream, but for beginners, it takes months just to perform smoothly. Without it, you can't create space or bait whiffs, which means you're dead before the fight even starts. Then there's execution. Tekken is full of just frame inputs like the Electric Wind Godfist or EWGF. which requires a down-forward to neutral input in a 1 to 2 frame window. Dropping it means your combo vanishes. And combos aren't static. You have to adjust wall carry, axis shifts, and spacing in real time, making every confirm a mini execution test. Defensively, Tekken demands instant recognition of strings. Is that string safe? Do you duck the high, sidestep the mid, throw break? Each decision comes with a fraction of a second to act, and one wrong choice means you're eating 60% damage into a wall splat. Veterans often joke that Tekken is a second job. It's a game of encyclopedic knowledge, surgical execution, and iron discipline, which is exactly why those who master it are some of the most respected players in the entire FGC. Execution Everest. SNK has always made demanding fighters, but King of Fighters 13 is infamous even by their standards. At its heart are the HD combo routes, long, meter-heavy juggles that require precise timing, multiple cancels, and strict spacing to avoid dropping. One mistake, and your whole punish vanishes. Movement is also brutal. Unlike other fighters, KOF features 4 different jump types: short hop, hyper hop, full jump, and super jump. Mastering them is mandatory because neutral in KOF lives and dies on hops. Beginners feel like they're trying to juggle rocket thrusters while learning to fight. And then there's the execution tax. Top characters like Mr. Karate, Benimaru, and Kyo demand high APM for their optimal loops, often requiring one-frame links chained into drive cancels. Pros have said the difference between mid-level and high-level KOF 13 is whether you can consistently land these punishes under pressure. That's why KOF 13 still carries a reputation in the FGC as one of the hardest games to ever hit the scene. The Execution Lab Monster. Long before Guilty Gear Strive made things more accessible, the series' legacy was execution hell, and Accent Core Plus R is the purest example. This game is notorious for Roman cancels and especially false Roman cancels, or FRCs. Tiny 2-3 frame windows where you cancel a move to extend pressure or combos. If you miss it, you drop everything. Every character had routes that relied on these FRCs, meaning the game essentially demanded lab mastery just to function. Characters themselves were mini-games of execution. Eddie required you to control a shadow puppet independently while fighting normally, essentially playing 2 characters at once. Testament set traps all over the screen that had to be managed like chess pieces. Zappa fought with random summons, forcing you to adopt mid-combo to unpredictable outcomes. Even basic play was overwhelming. Air dashes, instant blocks, slashbacks, jump installs, and option selects piled onto the execution mountain. It was the kind of game where watching tournaments felt like watching alien life forms. How are humans even doing this stuff? Many in the FGC still call AC plus R the hardest traditional fighter ever made. It's a mechanical gauntlet that rewards only the most obsessive lab rat level grinders. The PhD of fighting games. And at number 1, we have the undisputed execution and knowledge king, Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. VF has always been called the serious fighting game, but Final Showdown pushed it to its peak. Every character has dozens of moves with unique frame data, and the game offers no shortcuts, just raw inputs, strict timing, and the need for encyclopedic knowledge. Defense is where VF becomes notorious. The game revolves around fuzzy guard, crouch dashing, and throw escapes, all performed in tiny frame windows. At high level, players input multiple throw breaks while defending against mids, essentially layering several defensive options in perfect sync. Miss the timing by a frame, and you eat a launcher into a 70% wall carry combo. Movement is another beast. Mastering evasive techniques, cancels, and backdash timing is mandatory just to survive against pressure-heavy characters. And, unlike other fighters, there are no comeback mechanics. No supers, no gimmicks. If you're losing, it's because your fundamentals are worse. The skill ceiling is so high that even within the FGC, VF is regarded with awe. Players joke that Tekken is already hard, but VF5 is Tekken with a master's degree. That's why VF5 Final Showdown earns the #1 spot. It's the purest expression of fighting game difficulty. All execution, all knowledge, no safety nets. Only the strongest survive. And that's our list, the 15 hardest fighting games of all time. From anime execution monsters like Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, to mechanical gauntlets like KOF 13, to the encyclopedia of pain that is Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. These are the games that test every ounce of your skill, patience, and dedication. Now it's your turn. Which fighting game broke you the hardest? Was it trying to wave dash in Melee, learning Roman cancels in Guilty Gear, or maybe just getting stomped by the arcade AI in Super Turbo? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading them all. And if you enjoyed this trip into fighting game hell, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell, because we've got plenty more deep dives into the FGC, retro fighters, and anime games coming your way. Until next time, stay sharp, keep training, and remember, in fighting games, there are no shortcuts, only the grind.